Hey everyone, welcome back. So I just saw a new Netflix movie, The Ritual, directed by none other than David Bruckner, who, if you don't know who that is, I've talked about him before on this channel. So today I'm not talking about one film in particular, I'm talking about one person in particular, and that man is named David Bruckner. He's directed short little horror sketches in movies like Southbound and VHS, and he is the most interesting part of both of those movies. His shorts, Amateur Night in VHS and The Accident in Southbound, are easily the best parts of both of these movies. So definitely check those out before you see The Ritual. But this is David Bruckner's debut film, The Ritual, and I'm happy to say that he brings the same level of competence to The Ritual that he has in Southbound and VHS.
Give me your wallet.
Rob would have loved this place. It wasn't your fault, mate.
You know what they have on walking trails in England? Pubs.
We go southwest, through here, we cut the journey in half.
Or through the forest.
And if this is sort of his way that he presents movies, I really want to see him do something else. I really want to see him move forward, because The Ritual is more than just an average film. It's pretty decent for most of the runtime. I would say that the biggest attribute that this film has is David Bruckner. The script here, not so much, and we'll get into that later, but David Bruckner has always written and directed his little horror shorts, and they're really, really great. I think Amateur Night in VHS is a little better than the Southbounds.
Open the door!
But The Accident is some really great gross out horror.
What's happening?
Something's wrong.
She's close to death.
Who is this? Hello? Who is this?
I'm a surgeon, Lucas. I've been listening since you arrived.
Okay.
He's here to help.
Do you want to save her life?
Yes.
Then whatever you do, do not remove your hand from her throat.
The interesting part about David Bruckner's career so far is that everything he's done is completely different. Amateur Night was a found footage horror short that's really great. The Accident is a gross out, gore fest kind of horror short that's really great and disgusting and effective. And The Ritual is a Lost in the Woods, Blair Witch-esque. So basically the movie's about 5 friends that decide that they want to go hike in the Alps, the Swiss Alps? Some kind of mountain trail, I don't know, I can't remember. And right shortly before they do that, one of their friends gets murdered in some kind of robbery holdup, and another friend witnesses that. And the main character of our movie is the guy that witnesses the murder of one of his close friends. And he doesn't do anything to try and stop it, he just hides to save himself. And for that reason, a lot of his friends sort of hold these grudges against him that kind of pop out as the horror elements of the movie are introduced. And so basically what this movie is all about is these 4 friends hiking through these trails, hiking into the woods, getting lost, and basically turning on each other as some kind of force follows and picks them off one by one. A very classic horror movie theme, very classic setup. And that's the reason that this movie works. The classic execution of the movie is its biggest attribute. David Bruckner's direction is really great. And David Bruckner seems to be one of the few horror filmmakers out today that actually knows how to properly execute horror. And it's crazy because the way he executes it is so simple and so bare bones. But it's way more effective than anything in a Annabelle movie or any Insidious movie. The way he executes horror scenes is so simple. There's a great scene when our main character, played by Rafe Spall, I think's his name, goes into this little plateau area in the woods to try and overlook the valley to see where he's at in the woods. And he goes up there and it's just trees, tons and tons of trees. And he's beaten down. He's like, oh man, we need to find somewhere out of here. And then he sees something in the trees. And it's such a simple shot. It's just a shot, reverse shot of a push in to the woods and a push in on our main character. And just these two shots, these two types of shots, instill so much more tension than a stupid jump scare could ever have. He overlays this kind of omnipotent presence that's surrounding these characters that never goes away. There's a couple jump scares here and there, but it never undercuts the tension created. There's a jump scare, and then you continue to feel this presence as the camera work indicates with all these long push-in shots or these distant wide shots of the party where you get the feeling that something is constantly surrounding them.
We go southwest through here. We cut the journey in half.
What, through the forest? I got a hand job in one of those once at a festival. Thanks, Phil. What a beautiful story.
And even at the end, the third act, I think, is the worst part of this movie, the third act. But even then, he executes it in a way that almost works. The creature reveal is in the end, and it looks pretty cool. And there's some cool ways that the movie is executed to make this kind of stupid third act sort of work. And it doesn't cripple the movie like the ending of a 10 Cloverfield Lane does. But the script is terrible. And that is why I don't think this movie is going to get hardly any recognition. I know a lot of people are saying that it's great. A lot of people really love it, but I think what's holding it back from being a classic or being a horror movie like It Follows that just explodes out of control with word of mouth is the script. The script sort of ruins a lot of this movie. Like characters finding a random house in the middle of the woods that they just decide to break into. Like, oh, I'm sure nothing will be in there, Or characters seeing a path randomly emerge in the middle of the woods that wasn't there before. Oh, let's follow that path. That's just a great idea. And it's stuff like that that ruins a little bit of this movie, but aren't really big deals. They're sort of nitpicky things that kind of annoy me, but the biggest part of this movie that fails, the biggest detriment to this movie is the characters. Almost all of them are completely unlikable, and even our main character is not particularly a good person. He has this guilt-ridden conscience of not helping his friend. Him and his friends sort of don't like him because he didn't do anything. It was his flight or fight response that kicked in, and he just got scared and ran away. And it's this moral dilemma that is sort of an underlying current throughout the movie that makes the characters completely unlikable. None of them have any development whatsoever, but even our main character that has legitimate development with this grief-ridden conscience uses it as a crutch to make his friends look bad, where he just like will start random fights when someone says something he doesn't like, and that's not a likable character trait to have.
I woke up last night and look at this. Nothing has done that to you. You've done it to yourself. Listen, mate, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. No, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you.
Like, this could have been a great idea for a character to where he wants to sort of prove himself to his friends. And so maybe he tries to help his friends more, or he maybe tries to ditch them, I don't know. But nothing really comes of it. The only thing that happens because of this grief-stricken conscience is something that happens in the third act, which is borderline ridiculous and doesn't really achieve anything. So basically the third act of this movie is that a couple of the friends get picked off wandering the woods, of course, and they get strung up in trees, they get killed, they get gutted. And then two of the friends, the two that seem to hate each other the most, Tom and our main character, whose name I'm forgetting, Luke, I think. So they just wind up in this middle of this cult. One gets sacrificed, one breaks free, a couple of the cult guys die, and then the creature chases after our main character and like pins him to the ground and makes him relive the moment or something, and then he overcomes it and gets out of the woods. And I don't know what they're going for. I really don't understand the message or the approach that the script was taking here. I don't understand the payoff. I don't get why this god creature that was just murdering random people, including his own cult members, would just not kill our main character, but like pin him to the ground and make him relive this moment that haunts him to achieve, I don't know what. He gets out and then just like yells at the creature and then walks off. So I don't really understand what the movie was going for with this third act reveal or whatever it was, because I don't know what it was. I don't know what the movie wanted me to feel. I don't know what it wanted to communicate, because it seems to go nowhere. He doesn't like learn anything from the experience. He doesn't grow at all. He just gets out of the woods and that's it. So I don't know, I don't really like where the movie takes the third act. I appreciate that it tries to pay off the creature in a way that so few horror movies do, and I appreciate that it takes this third act in a unique direction, but it doesn't seem to pay off in any meaningful way. So in the end, I think The Ritual is a okay movie that could have been really good if written by somebody else.
We're gonna have to run. Oh my God! 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
In the end, it ends up being sort of a middle-of-the-road horror movie that won't really go anywhere or communicate anything to an audience. And I don't know, I don't particularly love it, but it's one that I could see myself watching again just for Bruckner's direction. And I mean, I'm completely on board with you, dude. I mean, I know you're watching this, David Bruckner, most definitely, watching me, random guy, critique your movie. But just know that anything you do, I'll be there for opening night. So definitely check this out if you're a horror movie fan or a fan of David Bruckner somehow. Definitely check it out. I'll probably give it a 6 out of 10. It's not bad, but it's not good. So it's middle of the road. I don't know. It's sort of forgettable in a lot of ways. Yeah.